Always the hardest piece to show off via these Zoom
Yes.
calls. Little turtle meme.
Alrighty, and we're back again for some more God hockey. And I've got Kayley again. We've got some new and exciting stuff coming out from CCM, and she's here to talk about it. Kayley, how are you?
Hey, Dana. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. So, Eflex 7, obviously very excited. And then we're going to touch some more on Phenom 2, the new junior gear, once we get going. I do want to probably start with the main event.
Yeah.
Let's go pads first. Eflex 7, what's new?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely pumped about the whole Eflex line, and I think the pads are a really nice statement piece. And to me, when I describe them, when I think about the product, I think of two things. And one, it's that it really still has that Eflex DNA. So if you're an Eflex goalie and you're looking at what comes next, this pad has everything you expect it to have. So it has that super flexible boot. It has a little more torsional reactivity and flexibility below the knee, but it has a little bit of that stiffer, thinned out thigh rise. So you get the performance you need there in terms of seal, in terms of butterfly coverage, while still maintaining the feel that you know and love, have come to expect. Same with just the overall connectivity in the leg and the way the leg channel wraps and secures the leg in there for a really nice feel. But at the same time, we've really focused on making targeted upgrades where we, really think we needed it the most. To me, the first thing is the sliding material. And it's tough to capture on a screen, but you can almost hear it depending on how good the audio is picking it up. And the neat
And
thing about this,
for anyone on the customizer, CGT is the
yeah, cross glide technology, exactly. CGT, nice acronym. And the basis behind this is, let's just be honest, let's call a spade a spade. We know that speed skin wasn't necessarily performing the way that we needed it to, that we know that goalies wanted it to. And so we've been on the search and doing a ton of testing, trials, material searching for the past few years. But the thing about making a change to this is obviously performance is number one. We're looking for something that slides incredibly well on all types of clean ice, rough ice, everything in between. We also need it to be durable. We also need to ensure that everywhere that it wraps and the way that it's constructed, that it works really well for the build of a goalie pad. So this project started a long time ago. I think we initially started with 16 different materials. It included different materials, different textures. Obviously, we've looked at shapes recently as well. And ultimately, this was the winner. But from there, we then need to put it into field tests. Like anything we do, we need to make sure it's going to last, right? We've got goalies using this. It's a pro level pad. It needs to hold up to that type of play and wear. So ultimately, even though it's just coming out now, there's actually years that have gone up to the buildup of
you've done
finally
your
launching
homework.
EGT. Exactly. So I think that's the biggest thing and something that goalies can really appreciate at all levels of play. So that's number one.
I do really like it. We've had some that have come in already, and one thing I do really find it's very almost like silky. Like you can run your hand across it, and you're really gliding. Like it's got that super texture to it, or almost a lack of texture to it because it's just that smooth.
It really is. And again, like I said, in store you can feel it, and on the ice, you can sense it in the way that you play right away. Looking at the pad face, you can also admire that really sick Eflex 4 inspired graphic. But we looked at rebounds as well. So looking at trends that we see at Pro, but also with our custom orders, Dana, you'd be familiar with our options. We've had our control rebound in the past, but we've also had max rebound. That's
Yep,
that kind of stiffer, more powerful rebound. And even with the E-Flex goalie, we see them looking for more of that
sure.
aggressive, more powerful pop off the face of the pad. So we're actually taking our infinite power rebound foam that we introduced in Axis and we're bringing it to E-Flex. The interesting thing about that foam is that it's not a stiff material though. So it's really more reliant on the materials that we put behind it in the core to dictate whether it feels soft or whether it feels stiff. So for E-Flex, goalies that still want that kind of softer to the touch, that softer throughout, like we talked about, they can still get that with this foam. But when it comes to the overall efficiency with the energy return, puck comes in, puck goes out, and there's going to be a lot more power behind it that we find goalies are appreciating. But of course, at custom, we're still going to maintain control rebound, so soft, keep the puck in tight, infinite power rebound that's now stock, and then we will keep max rebound as an option as well for goalies that want the powerful rebound but also want that kind of stiffer build Eflex pad.
Right.
So a lot of options, especially when you get into that total custom pro.
Yeah, I know when I did mine. So I have my set, of course, which I'm happy to say I finally recovered. I had a sprained thumb. I think I'm
Oh,
going to be on the ice next week. So I can finally like really squeeze the stick in the blocker. My stuff came in. I couldn't get my hand in the blocker because it was so sore.
oh,
But I will be testing out. I want to see those infinite rebounds coming out.
we've had our DRS, our dynamic
Hmm.
response system knee stack for a few years now, but we did make some upgrades to this area as well. The one thing that goalies will notice when they try it on in store is we've moved away from the 3D grip material that we've had here, and instead we're going with more of a textured sure grip. And in addition to that, it's a new layering, especially towards the upper area of the knee stack, that really focuses a little bit more on overall absorption. So you get the seal and the stability along the base, but then the knee will get more absorption and a much better feel when you're dropping down and moving across the crease. So an upgrade there. And then strapping is very much pro inspired on this pad. So it's our QMSS3 system. Firstly, goalies will notice that we still have that upper calf wrap piece that really secures the leg really nicely, helps with rotation for these Eflex goalies. It really secures the leg nicely for that connected feel. We have our main base strap along the exterior of the calf wings there that we know through our research really helps control the leg and kind of ensure that you're always aligned in the pad and can't over exaggerate any movements. And then new for this year is this lower strap. So again, looking at the trends that we're seeing, what our pros are looking for, they all want this lower strap at the base. So super easy to remove. It's Velcro on either side. But at the same time, really helps to close off the calf wings at the base of the leg for connection all the way from the top to the bottom. So you can really personalize the strapping and adjust as you see fit. From a comfort standpoint, goalies will also notice there's a new kind of padded mesh that we're using on the inside. So
Yeah.
that's on the side of the calf wings and even in that landing area as well. So it still has our deeper, tighter fit, but much more comfort. Again, that feel that when you're landing, it's performance, but it's also plush. It's nice. It feels great every time you drop down. And a more subtle detail, but we've also added in a new calf wing piece there. It's hard to pick up on camera because of the gray here, but this calf support is just going to help with overall alignment from the knee all the way through to the ankle area there. A few really nice upgrades along the back.
It's amazing to see sort of the evolution when you start going from pad to pad to pad and how sometimes, you like the design so much that you don't want to change too much, but there's always the little small things that can always be added and just always bring something new to the table for it.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. We just spent a few minutes walking through a lot of different upgrades, but I'd say some are very big, notable performance pieces, where others are just these subtle little things that give that goalie that next level experience
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
really, take their experience to another level the first time they put on the pads and the first time they get on the ice, and then, of course, for their continued use with the product. So,
Yeah,
um,
and still very
yeah,
recognizable as an eFlex pad.
exactly. Eflex DNA through and through. So, classic 580 glove. 581's out, 580's back. Again, when we're looking at the glove, the main thing for us was we heard everyone, we know that they like the 580, it's trending, it's hot, so let's just make sure that we give them authentic 580 look, feel, closure, all wrapped up in this nice eFlex 7 package. Are you a 580 guy, Dana?
I have been in the past. My glove that I ordered is a 590. I kind of struggled, but I actually wanted to do 590 because it's one that I haven't really worn a ton, and it's still a great glove. So obviously, but I have been in the past. I do enjoy the 580s, and I do remember. I think I know where we're going with this. I know the one thing specifically that you mentioned to me was, what if we made a 580 glove that actually closed all the way?
That's exactly it. It's a little thing, but Essentially, we've reworked a few key elements, and I'm never the best example because I'm very much an intermediate palm, but you can see that you get that
Hmm.
really tight, crisp closure. Still has that really nice kind of 580, twist, that shape to it that's so iconic about this glove. And overall, closure was the main thing. So on the inside, we made a few changes to the overall core layup that allows us to get a really nice closure and a very defined break in the glove.
Hmm.
We also modified the T, so it's a new hinge that allows us to really get that closure and the backhand as well. Maybe it's an overlooked area at times, but the backhand really plays a big part in how you can open up the glove and how you can ensure that it closes really nicely. So that's our flex motion system in action there, that accordion type build. And then when we also want to look at the other areas that goalies can appreciate, it's the pocket. So skate lace, stock through custom, you can pick different colors or a more traditional lace if that's what you prefer. But in addition to that, we have a +1 single T on our 7.9 series and also available via custom. So you can get that really deep pocket that allows you to, control pucks, really make those aggressive, over the top windmill saves as well with the puck flying into the pocket there. It's a nice upgrade as well. And then everyone, I think, is always curious about the inside of our gloves. So we do have the crossform strap, which
Hmm.
seems to continue to be appreciated for the mobility that it gives
Yeah.
goaltenders. And then finger stalls are back. They're here. Fear not. But they're also upgraded. So we're using a new mesh, a new texture. So it's really comfortable when you slip your hand in for the first time. We're using Sure Grip as our base material on Eflex 7, but via custom, there's a few other palm material options that you can choose from. And little things like the thumb loop and the pinky loop, we're also making upgrades there. So now it's more of a neoprene material. So very comfortable, still adjustable. So we really want to just make sure that when you put your hand in for the first time, not only does it close well, but it also feels really comfortable while also still feeling like a high performance glove.
Oh yeah, I know with like Hexa Plus, that gives a very interesting, nice feel to everything on the inside. And from just putting the early ones that we got, and we did do 580s for stock as well with some of our customs. In particular, I love the way the thumb loop, that adjustment, the way that pulls out, and the way that it just really grabs really nice without having any like you don't really feel it as much, but it's more like a cradle, than just like a loop.
For sure. No, 100%. I think that was the goal of ours, that just everything feels good. It's a simple thing to say,
Yeah.
but we want to
Yeah.
make sure that we're delivering on that.
Yeah, and
So,
cross form over top of the hand. That's what I went with in my glove on custom. It frees up the wrist. It just gives you that range of motion, keeps everything a little less to get in the way with your chest protector as well, and just really lets you get that full range
yeah,
of motion.
we don't want to overlook the blocker, Dana. Um,
I try not to. I've often said when I put my hand in a CCM blocker, like it always has this something about the feel where it just the hand goes in, it sits at the right angle, and just it's so nice.
Yeah. And I've probably spoken about this before because it's not our first year doing it, but we work very closely with our player protective team on the palm of our blocker. So it allows us to really leverage their expertise in terms of overall ergonomics and shape of the hand, obviously from a player glove, taking elements and bringing it over to the goalie glove. So I really find that when you put our blocker on that hand, like you said, it just feels like everything's sitting exactly where you want it to be.
Hmm.
It's snug where you want it to be snug, but at the same time has that flex and mobility that you need depending on how you hold your stick and the different motions that we go through as goaltenders. And then we have our smaller details like the D3O on the index finger there. Had it for a while, but definitely appreciated for any pucks ramping up the stick. We're using that hexapalm that you referenced earlier that has a really nice texture as our overlay material there. So it's durable, but also has great control, a great feel when you're holding the stick. We have our ergonomic finger wrap along the main finger areas and, of course, the index finger there. We have a thumb that has great protection, but also great mobility. Of course, mobility is a key element of our flex motion
Yeah.
cuff design. and then, all wrapped up in a very powerful, very lightweight package. I think some people are actually surprised at how light our blocker is, and it has a very powerful punch as well, and a really nice profile overall.
It's so funny how like over the years, especially the last even like 5, 6, 7 years maybe, where everything now is about just bouncing these pucks out as far as we can, as hard as we can. And you remember like way back when and be like, no, you just want you want that thing to die right in front of you, and it's
Yeah.
amazing that the changes that we see and the way the technology comes into play too, and how everything now it's like boom, it's off the glass. It's
Yeah.
like I said, pucks flying
Um,
everywhere.
and I think before we move on to, maybe other items in our collection, I think it's also worth calling out our custom programs with Eflex 7.
Hmm.
I know you have consumers that play in all different categories, but we still have our all out program. So that's our print. I mean, if anyone's seen your set, it's a great example of
Yeah.
what we can do, and how extensive we can go with both retro designs, but we can also push limits with very modern, futuristic, detailed designs as well. We have our Total Custom Pro option, which allows you to have that full pro spec menu of different customizations, spec categories, and full pro build as well. And then we have our Total Custom, which is more color zoning focused, still has a few specs, but more for that goalie that's really focused on matching their team and having their own unique personalized look. And then a great transition to our 7.9 line, but new for this year, is our Total Custom 7.9 program,
Yeah.
allowing goalies to have that mid price point custom option, and not just for our bigger adult goalies. That's also available in an intermediate program. So for younger goalies, again, you want to match your team, you want that really cool look, match one of your favorite pros, whatever it might be, you can now do that at the 7.9 level.
Or if you don't want to like have the exact same pads as your goalie partner, which
Also
you
that,
might see
yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah. And if you haven't been on our customizer yet, I encourage every goalie to go check it out because it's a brand new customizer experience. It's a full 3D iteration of the product. The colors pop really well. It's very user friendly. So you can check it out at ccmhockey.com. All of our different custom programs are available there. So not only can you have some fun with colors and zonings, but you can also check out our customizer booklet, and you really get all the details you need to build that dream set. Dana, I know you have a lot of, goalies that are playing at different levels, different tiers, have different needs. So I won't walk through the whole product for each of our 7.9 and 7.5 lines, but I will just highlight, and, people can go check it out in your store and on
For
your
sure.
website. But the 7.9 line this year has a ton of great performance features as well. So what we walked through in terms of that new CGT sliding material, we've brought that down to our mid-level product line, which I think is going to be the best sliding at that price point right now. The improvements that we made to the comfort of the knee stack, the strapping system, that pro kind of style lower strap, that's all available on the 7.9 goalie pad, the stiffer thigh rise as well. When you look at it for the first time, I mean, I'm biased, but it really does present like a pro level pad when you first see it, I think. So, a great option there. The 580 glove is also part of that mid
Yes.
level collection. We're bringing it to intermediate, for the
Yeah,
first
which we
time
did
as
bring in.
well.
We did bring in both of.
Yeah, and I've been at a few events already on the ice with goalies, and some of those younger goalies, they don't necessarily know 580, 590, 600. I think overall just like closure, mobility, game ready
Yes.
feel are important to them, but when we spoke with goalie coaches and we have kids on the ice, I think the overall shape and how a 580 presents really is beneficial for some of these younger goalies. So giving them an opportunity to try it out and start to play with it, as I think something that's pretty exciting. And and then of course, very nice blocker, that hexapalm. It's in the mid-level collection as well. Great pop off the face there. So that's our 7.9, and then the last one is our 7.5 series. That's senior only. A little more of that entry level build, but honestly, like, it's a phenomenal set. One thing that we've done in that lower tier of goalie products is we've actually upgraded the material that we use, the PU, so it has a really nice richness. It has a lot more durability as well. And then when we look at how that collection was built, It's really all about just ease of use. Whether it's that beer league goalie that's maybe trying to, learn how to play a little bit more of a modern style and make sure that their butterfly is, strong and easy, no big opening. It's shaped to allow them to have a very natural butterfly to direct pucks out with ease. Glove, super easy to close. It's broken in right off the shelf. It's a 580 as well. So a great option for that goalie that's, looking for an excellent option at a little bit of a lesser price. So
Yeah,
Eflex 7 chest. I think the first thing that people will notice about it is it does have a new profile for us.
hmm
So we've
definitely.
modified the shape of our floaters and the overall kind of shoulder and arm integration a bit there. So when you have it on, it really presents a lot more square. The flex points are designed once you have it on. We need a model here, Dana. Come to Montreal and model this.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
it really squares up and wraps the body really nicely. It creates that more dominant, imposing figure in the net, while at the same time ensuring that it tapers inwards and gives you that very mobile, strong wrap that we've always had in an Eflex chest protector. So that's a big one for us. From a protection standpoint, D3O, that's the easiest call out, but it's also a new build and a new mold for our sternum piece. So that much stronger, and it's very kind of rigid where you want it to be rigid, but also has a tapered shape that's hard to see via camera, but allows that body to move really nicely as well. D3O in the clavicle area, try to show it off here. Again, knowing that that's a very vulnerable area for goalies. The arms also have a big upgrade. So the bicep and the forearm build, so we're actually using the same molding and the same kind of internal build that we use for our NCAA, our junior level of protection in our chest protectors. We're bringing that to retail. Obviously, we have our Pro Spec that's the full NHL level of
hmm
protection. This one, excellent protection, but combined with a lot more mobility. We've also modified the elbow area, so super easy to slip your arm in. It's very adjustable along the back as well, so whether you want it really loose or more snug fit, you can adjust that. And really nice, soft, padded feel. A big story on our chest protectors recently has been the AirTech design. So you're
hmm
getting our AirTech suspension system. It creates really nice airflow along the back here. When we did a lot of studies on how goalies perform and what happens as the body starts to heat up, we really learned that if we can create more breathability, improve the overall body temperature, not only are goalies going to feel better, they're also going to play better as well. So a big notable feature here. And that also extends into the very breathable foams and liner material that we use along the interior. It really is kind of that nice full package chest protector.
Yes, AirTech and Adapt Fit, two easily overlooked but important features.
Is it time for
Uh,
our most exciting product line of the year?
I think so. Yeah, this is yeah, as much as the eFlex 7 obviously takes all the headlines. I think this is the big one because I think this is the one where you guys made the most change, and I think this is where consumers will notice, the biggest benefits of this new line over maybe some of the things that have been available previously. So let's hit Phenom.
Let's jump into it. Yeah. So the CCM Phenom collection. So this is one that we've been working on for a few years now, and just looking at both our offering, but also what's available for younger goalies. We wanted to ensure that we had the best option that's made specifically for kids. Previously, we certainly had consideration for young goalies when we were grading down our product and looking at the materials we were using. We wanted to do a deeper dive into that. We have a few great goalie advisors across North America that we use. They work with kids of all ages, but we wanted to really dive into that younger goalie, how they're moving, what their needs are, and create the CCM Phenom line specifically for them. So I have the pad in hand here, but we'll go into the glove, the blocker. There's a chest protector as well, all part of this exciting lineup. So the first thing that everyone will notice is the face of the pad and how it's designed. So no knee rolls, but at the same time, a very flexible design overall.
Yeah.
We're calling this our D-Flex. It has the flexibility that goalies need, the nice single break. It goes into a really nice butterfly, but also the flatter face and the build is really designed to direct pucks out with ease. So as goalies are learning how to butterfly, learning how to position themselves, we want the pad working with them, giving that little added assist that they might need to be able to have more control when they're playing in net. As we take a look at some of the other features, so I mentioned a bit earlier that we have a new material for some of our price points of goalie equipment. So this has that new material that we're using. So it allows our product to be a little bit lighter. It's very durable, and even when it comes to the sliding and the build of that inside edge, it's not our CGT, but it's a nice alternative to that feels really good when you're moving around the crease. You'll also see that we did include our integrated knee design here, our DRS system. But for the knee stack for kids, it's actually tapered along the top there to ensure that they have great mobility, that as they're skating and as they're dropping down, there's less interference from certain parts of the pad. Dana, I'm sure your team always does a great job of speaking about the lace and the bungee system. So I won't go into full detail, but for parents at home that are wondering about it, you get the benefits of a pre-tied down, pre-knotted skate lace system that secures at the front of the goalie skates and then loops underneath. And then really easy, kids can do it, just Velcro system that secures along the top of the skate. And then as we shift around to the rest of the product, this is all about comfort. It's all about having a very adjustable, easy to use system. You can see that we have our hexa material on the knee stack, so very comfortable, but also a little bit of texture, so they feel nice and stable in their pads. We're using our comfort mesh along the inside of the channel, an interior calf wrap adjustment, and one along the outside to keep that leg controlled and stable, and even a modified version of our calf pillow so that goalies are very balanced, and again, that they feel like they can drop down easily and then react and move, as they need to. Oh yeah, one other thing I should mention is we did go with a bootstrap on this pad.
Hmm.
When we were talking to goalie coaches, some of them still find that there's benefits for young goalies to have this option, just keep the pad a little more secure. But as they grow, or depending on the goalie coach they work with, they might not want to have that bootstrap. So it's actually very easy to remove on either side. So when you no longer need it, take it out, no problem. But also there, if it is something that will help your game. And the last thing in terms
I
of
I
sizing,
think if
oh
you
yeah,
don't have a bungee system, I think if you don't have a stretch on your toe, the bootstrap is still can be used like to great effectiveness. Usually
yeah,
if you're using a bungee, usually the pad is under control enough. I
mm-hmm,
mean, I still go back to skate laces most of the time on
yeah,
most of the pads because I have my setup how I like it and how I know and how I play. But yeah, I think that bootstrap still helps if you're on more of a lace system anyway. But again,
yeah.
easily removable, and in even some of the other pads as you go up and up that don't come with it still have the tabs that you can add them pretty easy.
Put it in. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the cool thing about this product is it's available in 24-inch this year. So we're
Hmm.
bringing that down as a junior option. So for goalies that need maybe a little bit more out of the product compared to our Y Flex line, we now have the 24-inch option, and then 26, 28, and 30. And the last call out I'll make there is we actually size out and measure our pads so that the width of each of our junior pads
Hmm.
differ. So a 24-inch pad is actually going to be a little bit narrower so those goalies can move and not feel like they're, weighed down or in something that's too bulky. So it's narrower than those larger sizes as you go up the line. So consideration for every line or every size that's part of that Phenom lineup.
Just goes to to how much went into designing this and the entirety of the process that it takes, which is why I've been seeing the different variations or hearing about or discussing even with
Yeah.
you different things that you're doing to it along the way. So it is really nice to see that now like this is sort of the fruits of your labors and
Yeah.
really all the things that you've done to make it as good as it is.
No, exactly. And then, of course, we need a little glove. So we have the nice CCM Phenom ready to go, game ready fit. It's based more off of a 590. We just find it's the most versatile,
Hmm.
kind of natural hand position for these young goalies. We're going skate lace pocket. So not only will these goalies look sick out there, but they'll also get that added control and softer feel of the skate lace build. The core, the tee, everything was part of the consideration to make sure that it has that easy closure and also, really nice opening of the glove. Along the back, it has a backhand that's inspired by our Eflex 7 that allows for that full accordion type feel and mobility. And then on the inside, very comfort based, has finger stalls, has that same softer thumb and pinky loop, and that crossform strap at the base to ensure that these little goalies can learn how to position the hand properly and move with ease. It has the hexa palm on the inside as well, which we find gives goalies a little added grip and control, especially for younger goalies where they need it a bit more as well. Need a
Yes.
little blocker. So blocker built to have a nice strong shape to it. It has nice pop as well, so these goalies can learn how to direct pucks out. It also has a very nice kind of ergonomic palm shape to it, brought down to ensure it's the right size for little goalies. The hexa as well, so that they get that added grip and that added feel when they're holding their stick, and a very nice contoured wrist area so that they get full range of motion. Our little Phenom chest protector. So with this one, it's really all about making sure that goalies can move, that they can get a great fit, and they feel really comfortable as they're learning how to become goalies. When we think about kids, especially when they're taking up the position for the first time or transitioning into goalies, I think chest protector can be one of those things where suddenly they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't move.
Yes.
How do I do this? So it's very much built to wrap around the body really nicely, to have flex and give where they need it most. But at the same time, obviously, protection is pivotal. So a nice, strong sternum design, strong floaters that present really nicely as well, but still have that tapered shape. It has the segmentation throughout the body that allows us to use nice protective foams, but also really moves with a goalie quite easily. And then in terms of the arms, it also has this new system. Again, very hard to see black on black, but the goalie can slip the hand right in, pull it on with ease. Excellent wrist protection along the back there that is adjustable. And I would say the fit adjustments with this are one of the biggest things. Everything's called out really nicely with some of these red tabs. So you can adjust the fit overall of how it sits on the body and the floaters. You have the arm adjustment for length as well for that growing goalie. You can adjust the elbow area. And then, of course, the body adjustment as well to wrap the body very nicely. Super easy to move around in, but still giving you the coverage and protection you need as a smaller goalie in that big net.
Yeah. And again, something I've already been able to fit kids for. Just I don't want to say the softness of it, just the ability of it to move and really contour really goes on the kids really nicely so far that I've worked with. And there's no sort of barriers to fit. There's nothing that's while you're putting it on, there's no real difficulties. I know certain ones in the past, and I think you touched on a little bit with Eflex 7, that the older sort of elbow pad style arm was sometimes very tricky to manage. And I think this does a really great job of just sort of simplifying everything so that it's very user friendly. And I like it. I like it already. Also to be said for basically the entire line there. And like I touched on earlier with the pad, I think it goes to show like the amount of time and effort really that does go into it, and the job you guys do to bring these products to market where you're really really happy with them and you've really got them where you want them to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent summary. I mean, as we're working through these products, where we are now and where we're going next, I think we have a really nice combination of these goalie advisors we have and the feedback that we can get and our opportunities to get on ice with goalies, get their feedback. But then we have our performance lab here. So we can do different tests. We can get a ton of different measurements. We have a mechanical lab that allows us to ensure that we have the proper amount of impact protection, that we have the right amount of mobility. So there's all these different things that we're doing, not to mention, I mean, I'm just here talking to you, but like the designers, the development team that we have, they're really top notch. I'd put them up against, anyone in the industry, and they're really doing great things. And excited for this and excited for what we have coming down the
Yeah.
line as well.
And so just I'm not asking you for any secrets about anything that may be coming out in the next year or so, but do you have any things that you think about or any things that way where it's like what's going to be the next thing?
Um,
Obviously there's only so light we can go. There's only so many different materials we can use, and there's only so much grippy and so much slidey that we can make the insides and the outsides.
yeah, I mean, you're right. We're always looking at what's next, and I can't give too much away, but I will say there's a pretty big project that we're working on. But maybe on something that I can hint at a little bit more. We have a new stick that's coming out in a few months here, and that's an extension of our innovation line. And I think we've seen some of the work that's happened on the player side, but now we're going to see our first glimpse of it on the goalie stick side. A few pros already using it and looking very nice and sharp with its distinct look. So more to come there later this summer.
Very exciting. I can't wait. And I'm sure we'll be chit-chatting a little bit more about that as it comes. And I honestly I can't wait. I can't wait to see always what comes along. And like I said, like you still like you're saying, the DNA of Eflex or the DNA of Axis, you still bring very similar products, but you add the things, you tweak the things that need it. You even blend things together sometimes that need it, and overall, like it just even though we're still talking about largely products that are the same, we're making the changes that we want to go to refine these to an even finer degree. So thanks again, as always, for joining me. This was great. Glad we got to do this, and I'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure.
I hope so, Dana. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks.